Yeah, I had a great record company that never really broke any new artists, but they were like putting my records out and hiring publicists. The kind of things that now we have to do as independents. We have to do all that work, right? We have to get you have to do that, or really, who's going to hear your record? You can't just put it, maybe sometimes you could do the Jesse Wells thing and just be putting songs on YouTube and just crush it and then go up through that. I'm not saying there's no, Jesse Wells famously is saying there's no gatekeepers. Well, back then, there was some kind of a gatekeepery thing, and I somehow was given the keys to the kingdom, and I definitely abused that privilege. I can say that and look you in the eye and be like, yeah, I kind of dropped the ball there because I didn't put a good band together and get on the road and kick ass.
Well, it starts at the mountaintop with just a little drop of rain and goes all the way to the sea and never once is the same. Ain't that a river? Ain't that a river? Ain't that a river? Ain't that a river?
I feel like especially Gallatin, like north of the Publix, it just starts getting crazy quick.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of rash
I have
decisions.
a song about it. It's called the Gallatin Pike Blues. And I wrote it almost immediately upon moving here because that place was nuts. I felt it. I was like, this street, like it's a tradition in the blues genre, whatever, to write about a street or a place that's weird and affects you. And Gallatin Pike is that place. I don't drive on it if I can help it. But all of you listening out there in podcast land, there's an artist from New Zealand named Wendy Murray who is drawing every building on Gallatin Pike, and you should know about her. It's called Drawing a Crowd on Instagram or whatever. And I've
seen it. I just didn't know it was her.
Yeah, she's from New Zealand. She's a very talented visual artist, and right now that those drawings will make you look at that street in a different way.
In probably a more beautiful way. Mm-hmm. Gut feeling.
Yeah, what is up with us Americans building stuff so crappily that we have to tear it down 20 years later and try again and build something new?
This one of the charms of this structure, may I draw attention to myself for a moment, is that it is 100 years old. It's made of brick. And even though they did a remarkably horrible job stacking this brick, I mean, there's not even trying going on over here, but that's its charm. But it's just still standing. It'll be standing for another 200 years.
You think that was just a hot, lazy day? That was after lunch, and they're like, "Oh my god!"
There's like cracked an early beer. I don't know if did workmen have beers on?
I hope so.
In the 1920s.
It always stunned me when I was a street musician and I went over to Europe early, and I'd be like in Prague or something, and like all the workers are drinking beers at lunch, and I was like, these people got it made.
Solid.
Yeah. And those beers were 25 cents a pop at that time as well.
But they're like light beers, they're like a real civil beer, a working man's
summertime,
beer.
Working man's beer. Well, the Czech people claim to have invented beer, right? The Pilsen.
I'd heard that.
Yeah, the Germans will say they did, but they're right next door. And then the Belgians say they perfected it, and they might be right. I haven't had beer in a long, long time, but the Belgians made some pretty wicked stuff. Let me just say.
Good job, Belgians. And I was in Poland at a Czech bar last summer and noticed that nobody was partial to cold, chilled beverages there in the Czech tradition. So it's a lot of, which is, fine. I'll do as Romans do. But man, I think that the cold beer is a better way to go. Not that you would know anymore.
No, I wouldn't know anymore, but I like a cold beverage. Oh my gosh. I mean, in England and in Scotland, especially, they would call our beer like Budweiser or something. They would call it nearly frozen gnat's piss. That's what they would say. Like you guys don't know what beer is. You're drinking nearly frozen gnat's piss over there. And they were kind of in the way of like the Schlitz, the Blatz, the PBR, whatever. These were like brand beers that they're not that great. Come on.
Yeah, a low temperature covers a multitude of sins.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to beer, I noticed that even with an IPA, I'm like, when they're cold, they're just like fantastic, and then like the last quarter of the can, I'm like, this is not that good anymore.
Yeah,
It's true nature is being revealed.
It's not
Tim
that
Easton,
good, but everybody's beautiful.
Tim Easton, this podcast has officially begun.
Hey.
Thanks so much, man, for making some time over here, and congratulations on the new record, Firehorse.
Thank you so much, Corby, for having me on the airwaves. I have worked on this record for quite a bit. I started on my couch sometime after the pandy, which is a fun way to call the hard times. But I
kind of defangs it a little.
Yeah, I got a new house right as the pandemic was kicking in, and then my sister, a painting that my sister made of a beautiful big red horse. My sister Susan Easton Burns is a successful like visual artist that lives in Douglasville, Georgia, outside of Atlanta. She's been painting her whole life. She's like the huge inspiration in my life, a huge, massive influence on me. She doesn't hang out in coffee shops in a beret, smoking cigarettes, talking about art. She's been painting the whole time. You know, us songwriters, we got to get out of the house and we got to go do stuff and play gigs and hang out and be online. She's online, but her husband does it, you know. She's just painting.
Well,
she's been painting and painting. And she's gotten a couple of really big gigs like Kentucky Derby. You know, when you paint horses, you get those huge commercial art gigs.
Is that what her milieu is? Horse, like?
Yeah, started with horses, but now she's pretty much animals and hardly any human beings. She's not into the human beings.
Really?
Yeah, she does geisha girls every now and then and Native Americans, but I mean, she paints what she loves, and horses was where it started. And I was born in 1966, which makes me a fire horse.
Lewiston, New York.
Lewiston, New York, right on the border. My mom was Canadian. Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah, my mom was Canadian. My dad met my mom playing badminton. And like
you kind of had to struggle with that pronunciation there.
Badminton, yes, and the shuttlecock. And yeah, they were playing badminton. And to this day, like on July 4th at our family reunions, we have a badminton tournament. It's my mom and dad are gone now, but they're kind of with us in that tournament, in the tourney. And yeah, my mom's Canadian. And so I'm half Canadian, so that's responsible for all the cool parts of my music, I should say.
Nice.
Yeah.
Shout out to the northern neighbors.
Yeah, absolutely.
So your sister, though, started out there also.
Yep. Yeah, I'm the youngest of 7, so I was a spoiled troubadour right off the bat. I was probably entertaining at family gatherings really early on.
Do you feel like you were indulged?
Sure. Why wouldn't you? Let's give Timmy the ukulele and let him.
Did people call you Timmy?
My brothers and sisters did.
Yeah.
Yes, and they still will.
I mean,
you're not allowed to.
I want to. Yeah.
No, I know. It's okay. You can. If you see me out on the streets, you can shout it from across the way. But now it's a South Park reference. You know.
Oh yeah.
So it's like you get more of that.
I'm not gonna do it but
Timmy's
is awesome.
always little, which is ironic. Because I'm not like
no one ever says Big Timmy.
No one ever says Big Timmy, and he's always stuck in a well and Lassie and such. He's like little Timmy.
Yeah,
he's always like the adjective little is often before his name, and yeah, and then it became a South Park thing, and the name kind of fell from grace there for a while. You don't hear many Timothys out there. Oh, then Timothy Chalamet came along and. But
you have to spell it all weird.
Yeah, it's French. He's bringing it back.
That's great. Well, so you made this record, and it started out during the pandy.
Yes,
getting us back on track.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
yep.
That's what I'll do throughout. This conversation.
I have OCD or DADHD or DAD. I think is what we call it now that we're dads. You'll understand.
No, I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm holding on by the skin of my teeth.
I started writing this album under this painting of my sister's, and then I put it together that I was like, I can use my sister's artwork for the cover. Like that's something I can do. It's like, oh, I'll just do that, and I'll kind of gear a group of songs. I still think in album terms. I know it's old school or whatever, but it doesn't matter. That's the way I think. I love the Beatles.
It's an honorable framework. I think,
yeah, it's just like like a novel or an album of 10 songs. I never got into the EP world. Every now and then I just write a lot. So I basically started to make an album of perseverance. So if you look up whatever in the Chinese astrology, and I'm not even a big astrology guy, like I know that I'm a Taurus in the Western world one.
But you don't know anyone else's sign.
Not really.
Gut feeling, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Do you know what you are?
Yeah, I know what I am, and I don't know what anything else means.
Yeah. So, when you look that stuff up in a bookstore and you're like, oh yeah, that's what I am. I have perseverance and I'm stubborn and whatever it is, you're like, oh, that's me. Then it'll say the bad things and you're like, oh yeah, that's me too. I am kind of, stubborn can be a bad thing. But the perseverance part of it, I was like, oh, I'll kind of get an album with a couple of themes. It helps to have a theme and a prompt to work on, and that. And so I assembled the record, and it's not like it's one document, like it has to be about one thing. It's loose and can be interpreted in so many different ways. But, I just wanted to put something together that coincided with the actual year of the Firehorse, which is now, that just has started again. And I saw about a year and a half or 2 years ago, I was like, oh, the year of the Firehorse is coming up.
This is the Chinese calendar?
The Chinese calendar, right. It starts in February. And I was like, oh, if I coordinate things right, I can put out an album called Firehorse in the year as the week of the year the Firehorse starts. So I basically stubbornly imposed my will on that deadline and started to work towards it. And then I still had a little bit of time, about a year, when I was like, okay, now I need to kind of get a band together, get a producer together. And that's when I tapped Kevin Nolan, Kevin Nolan is a young kid from oh my God, he's in his 30s. He's a man from Washington, D.C. And him and his brother Matt Nolan and Tommy Cypress, they all work for Laney Wilson. So they're all in a country music superstar band.
Yep.
They play the stadiums and enormodomes around the world. That's their day gig. They're also amazing dudes and amazing, musicians. And Kevin basically said, okay, let's put that band together as the core band and you start submitting the songs. So I overwrote for it like we do. And then he helped me cull it down to those 10 tunes. And we kind of, work towards that album making vibe where we're going to get in the studio and we're going to take 2 days in this studio and then 2 days in another and maybe an extra day here and an extra day there to wrap it up. And we're going to focus really hard and we're going to be rehearsed and ready to go. And I made the arrangements on my phone and would send them to the guys, but they showed up ready to go like Nashville cats do, right? So, I sang and played live because that's kind of the way I like to do it no matter what. And then if I want to re-sing something, I can. It's not like every...
Were you in a booth or behind a screen? Or
No. Actually, I was in the room with them. You know what? We did both.
There's a little ISO there.
We did a couple of things where I was not near the drums. But you can hear me screaming some stuff out that came through the drum mics, and that I love that about records. Let's face it. I do not enjoy the perfection button that people hit on all of our albums are being made through the same computer programs today. I mean, there's the analog records still being made, thank God. But for those of us living in the affordable world of reality that use Pro Tools and or Logic, in this case, Pro Tools, we're all using the same plugins, the same stuff, the same processors. Yeah. We have this, and then you can just hit a button or two and everything's perfectly corrected and every kick drum's lined up with every kick. And we did not run it through the Nashville machine of like, here's a perfect pop song, boom, 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 right on the grid. I can't stand that stuff anymore. It's just, I need a little human quality to it. And if that's what you're looking for out there, we have that on Firehorse for sure.
Warts isn't the word, but some attractive blemishes.
I call them Timmies,
perhaps.
little Timmies. There's Timmies on there. A lot of Timmies on this album. It's human being stuff. Like, I'm sorry, but like, I love pop music still. I love certain, there's so much good stuff out there, but everything starts to sound the same. And, Dylan was saying this There's a recording of Bob Dylan somewhere on YouTube or something where he's like, have you noticed that all records sound the same? And this is like 1982. He was saying that about whatever, Cyndi Lauper and Men at Work or something. And I'm reaching around there, but it's like now it really does kind of all sound like pop country. And I'm not saying any groundbreaking thing here in pop music. It all kind of sounds the same, which is fine. It just happens to be that I like a little bit of human quality in it, and you're going to get it no matter what with me. I can't sterilize it so much that, and there's a couple songs on this album that were done in a way that the band just played it right, just boom, just nailed it. And I re-sang it. So it does have a pretty shiny quality for me, for a Tim Easton record. There's a couple of songs on there that don't have too many Timmies on it and have more like really like polished stuff. There's a song called Heaven and Hell, which is track 2, which is, I know it sounds like an ominous title and a little biblical, but I was going for the figurative heaven and hell. And it was a line that my daughter gave me. She said, like she was 2 and I picked her up. She said, Daddy, or 3. And she said, you hold me and I'll hold you, which is like an innocent line from a kid. And I held on to it for a long time. And I tried to get Will Hogue, I think, to write the song with me.
Right, he was on here a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. I tried to get Will. Like Steve Poltz and I have written a couple of songs via text message. You know, you and I have tried to do it on the pod or whatever in front of cameras.
Do not recommend.
You can do whatever way it works, man. You know, I think feeding lines out to your songwriter buddies and seeing how they respond is if you write every day like I do. I'm not a big Nashville co-write guy, but I'll try it. You know, I'm not going to say no to everything. You know, I want to like try something new. We know what I'm going to do. we know I'm going to write about Alaska and rivers. No, we're gonna, you know, I know what chords I'm going to play. So it's nice to have input. And Will didn't take the bait. So that line just stayed as was. Then I went through a divorce. Then I had a little bit more. And then a friend was going through something. He didn't feel like he was being recognized enough. And I wrote that into the song, you know, like about being decorated. And, you know, I got your back kind of song. It's okay. You're going to be okay. And then a friend in Alaska recently was going through a really bad breakup. And I wrote that into the song while I was sitting underneath that painting of my sister. So it went into the Firehorse canon basically. And it's a song of uplifting people. 'Cause I think that's part of the job of what we do, you know, is part of the job requirement is to help uplift those that need it. All right. Well, this is the song called River. What can run but never walks, has a big mouth but never talks, has a head but never weeps, makes a big bed but never sleeps. Ain't that a river? Ain't that a river? What takes you on a dance, then leaves you in a trance? What spins you on a weave that you may never leave? Ain't that a river? Ain't that a river? Ain't that a river? Ain't that a river, river? What starts at the mountaintop with just a little drop of rain and goes all the way to the sea and never once is the same. Ain't that a river? Ain't that a river? Ain't that a river? Ain't that a river?
rose out of a dream, then sweeps you far downstream. What gives and also takes away, so that all of us can find our way. What brings us what we need, then brings us to our knees. Ain't that a river? Ain't that a river? Ain't that a river? Ain't that a river, 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 river?
I think that's a pretty fair description of the job. I mean, what is it? Townes Van Zandt says like there's two kinds of songs, Zippity Doo Dah and the blues.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
with both, the blues is a way of elevating the tragedy of life, right? And making it bearable and maybe even joyful in its moment by just like honoring that expression. So even in that, it's and the intention is one of uplifting the listener.
Yeah. I take a little bit of, well, you know, if you, those of you out there that know who Todd Snyder is and Otis Gibbs and that whole podcast scene that Otis interviews people and telling stories, usually, you know, mine are super name droppy. I'll just face it. You know, some of the paths I've crossed he likes to get those stories out there and he's really good at getting people to tell stories. The Townes line comes up in the new movie where Todd's talking about John Prine, and it comes up in a very interesting way. A bluebird lands, and Todd's like, "Bluebird on my shoulder," and so that song Zippity Doo Dah comes up, and the discussion of Townes. And I did play a gig with Townes Van Zandt.
Yeah, it's in your bio that you like his last year.
Yeah, and it was brutal. And you met Todd, and I also hung out with Todd in the last year of his life. And there are some similarities there in a way that like it hurts to talk about, but it's just like these are heroes and also important songwriters. Townes Van Zandt, I would say, if I'm talking to some young songwriter and in whatever town I'm in and they talk to me about songs and I can see that they're into it, I always ask them, I go, "Oh, so who have you listened to? Who's your hero? Like, who do you love?" And they're like, sometimes they want to show off or something. I'm like, okay, well, you know, who do you listen to when you're at home? And then they'll name some people and I'll say, have you ever listened to like, I'll pick somebody like a Townes Van Zandt or a Jimmy Webb or Joni Mitchell, you know, the big names, but like songwriters that were like really into the craft. And if they haven't listened to Townes yet, I'm like, oh, you should go listen. I'm not saying you have to like it. Everybody's got a different way, but it's like, listen to that guy, the way he used poetry and songs and his real life and put it into songs. I think it's valuable. So I was in hero worship mode when I opened up for him. You know, I was expecting the guy from the Delta Mama Blues cover.
Yeah.
You know, he was in the front row when I played my show. I thought he was a homeless guy. You know, this is the sad truth about that story. Like I played the set and then at the end, this guy stood up and I'm like, oh my God, that's Townes Van Zandt. I you know, he was dead within a year and it was just really sad. It was a sad night. I used to think of it as so romantic and now it's like, oh man. So he got up and he walked right onto the stage. He didn't want to talk to anybody and he started playing, but he barely got through half of Poncho and Lefty. Someone gave him a hug. People were crying. He was crying. People were asking for their money back. It was what they call a train wreck of a show. And the promoter looked at me and he's like, is this the way you want to live your life? And I, you know, this is the way you want it to go for you? And I was like, absolutely not. And he said, well, you know, do something about it. And I didn't really for a while.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, today I don't drink and I don't take drugs, but I'm still addicted to songwriting. You know, there's no way around it. Like I enjoy traveling and I enjoy playing music, but I also enjoy being a dad. And it's great to be in the sober dad club, you know.
I mean, in some ways I feel like it might be fair to say that your kid has saved your life in a sense, because there's a huge reason why. Yeah. To just put some boundaries up, you know. I think that as somebody who is still actively engaged in the non-sober lifestyle,
Right,
you
right.
know,
Yeah.
but I've always held it in, I've kept it together, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Well, a regular everyday drinking person is not necessarily going to get in the trouble that I got into.
Yeah, I've definitely though when looking back, there are some really stupid things. It's things that like affected my career negatively that were, it's
kind of encouraged.
Yeah,
on the job.
but it gets like the less cute you are, the less charming it is.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
absolutely.
Like grown ass men misbehaving is not anything people are happy to see.
No.
Like that guy pulling you aside being like, is this the destination you have in mind?
Yeah, no, it just hurts a bit, and it's still happening around us. But a lot of this younger generation, they're kind of way more responsible, and they're more into the lyrics and the songs and the chord progressions and the nature of the song than they are the nature of the party. I'm noticing that. The minute that, an old timer like myself says, oh yeah, they don't do it like they used to. Well, they might not make records like they used to, but there's still some great songwriters coming up, and you can hear it all around. Joby, stuff like
Joby,
that. Yeah, amazing.
Abigail Oakley. I mean, there's people in town. I mean, that's one thing that I don't worry about among the many things that I do is whether or not art will persist, because it is, for some, it's a vehicle for your fame or potential fame. I think that's
right.
A lot of people in this town, especially like in larger genres, but there's a whole subcategory of people that are just called to do it. And they're not, there's every generation is going to have those kids.
Yeah.
I do worry about like bands are harder to support and sustain beyond
Absolutely.
the sleeping on the floor stage of your career.
Yeah. I'm really happy to not be doing that today.
Dude, I just had a band in here a couple of days ago, the Brook and the Bluff, which I'm just going to say, I didn't even really know them. Their publicist reached out to me and I looked at them. I'm like, this band is like kind of big, and they are kind of big.
Yeah, that's happening. That's a sign of growing older.
But
when you don't know the bands.
This is going to be a segue. Yeah, I'm totally at home
You
with
see
this.
the Bonnaroo lineup and you're like, ooh,
like,
uh-oh.
Yeah. Oh, Fish.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. But with that band, and this is going to be my pivot to back to you. In their backstory was this thing that has happened time and again in the industry of the young booking agent who's coming up, and this little synergistic moment that happens where he sees them. He's like, these guys are great. And he's just like, he's now their guy. And now he's like second up at CAA. Yeah. And now they're in the mix, and it's going to be okay.
That's how it happens.
Yeah. And it kind of like happened for you also in a long time ago way.
Yes,
and I want to talk about that a little bit.
Let's do it. Yeah. I've been writing about it. I came out to Los Angeles, and they're basically like handing out record deals at the city gates, apparently.
I mean, you had like get off the train and here's your record deal kind of experience.
Yeah. I mean, I had made Special 20 in this town. I got a publishing deal from Madonna's label.
Which was your first record.
Yeah.
Special 20.
I'd made a band album. I got a publishing deal with Maverick Music. So I had some...
That's Madonna's
label. Yeah. I had some stuff going on. I bought an old Gibson from George Gruen. Gave the rest of the money to all the bartenders in the Lower East Side. And
a little bit at a time.
Yeah. Didn't buy a house in East Nashville. And went on to just destroy my, I went out to Los Angeles, and then New West gave me a record deal. Like, that was just when it was just Cameron Strang had his office was his bedroom, and he had like Billy Joe Shaver and John D. Graham and a few guys, and it was really small. And then so he paired up with a bigger company, or a corporation, we should say. We don't need to get into all that, but the money came in, the investment came in for him. So he was able to spend a little dough. The next thing you know, I'm in the studio with 3 of the guys from Wilco, and I'm making a record with Joe Ciccarelli, who only cuts to tape and is like doing it right. He was about to make the White Stripes Elephant album too, right around then. And I basically am with some heavy hitters, and now I've got money behind. So I do have, the machine is behind me. That's what else could you call it?
Yeah.
they're paying.
What a feeling. What a fucking feeling.
But I didn't know it. I didn't really understand it.
You had to have some dim inclination. Come on,
not really, man. I that's the thing. I think I was stuck in some kind of weird alcoholic self-pity where I'm like, I'm from the Midwest and like what's popular is lame. And I think I was kind of I don't mean to look back with in sadness and anger at it or that person, It's like some people always talk about like give your inner child the little kid, go up and give him a hug. It's like wait till you have to go give your 28-year-old self a hug. your 32-year-old self, like I'm like, oh God, what were you doing? You were given the keys to the kingdom and you probably turned around and kind of took a dumpski in the doorway of Los Angeles. That's just my story.
Do you think it's like you had a kind of a contrarian spirit about you? Did you had a chip on your shoulder, something to prove? Were you like anti-industry while taking the money, or just were you sort of only dimly aware of what was going on?
I was dimly aware and I never really took I didn't get any money.
Yeah.
I was making the record and they would like, I didn't have money to eat or get to the studio. Like they, had to like, it was not well run. And then finally I had a manager that stepped up and started helping me at that point. But they couldn't stand her. So there was just a battle, it was just a battle all the time. And all I'm saying is that they gave me some great opportunities. And I got to go on tour with John Hiatt and Lucinda Williams. And Lucinda Williams also gave me some great opportunities where I was not drunk and I actually did well, And then her manager, who became her husband, and I had a falling out over a misunderstanding about a master that was made. But for 3 or 4 records, I had a great record company that never really broke any new artists, but they were like putting my records out and hiring publicists, the kind of things that now we have to do as independents. We have to do all that work, right? We have to get you have to do that, or really who's going to hear your record? You can't just put maybe sometimes you could do the Jesse Wells thing and just be putting songs on YouTube and just crush it and then go up through that. I'm not saying there's no, Jesse Wells famously is saying there's no gatekeepers. Well, back then, there was some kind of a gatekeepery thing, and I somehow was given the keys to the kingdom, and I definitely abused that privilege. I can say that and look you in the eye and be like, yeah, I kind of dropped the ball there because I didn't put a good band together and get on the road and kick ass. Mm-hmm. I kind of just effed around Los Angeles in the desert and, took mushrooms and just kept on goofing off. I didn't lean into the song as much as I should have. And that's okay. I still write. I'm still here. I'm still making records. And you can never take that away from me. But like eventually New West was like, yeah, you're not selling enough records. A lot of things happened that made that, that this and that, missteps here, new management, just all kinds of missteps. People that did want to work with me that didn't, it just changed all the time. I did okay. And then eventually they're like, yeah, you got to go do this on your own now. Mm-hmm. And so I started to do that too. And it was because of what they had given me. And our relationship is still good. Like it's a whole new company over like 3 times over now.
Is any of the original people original people there? Yeah.
No, maybe 1 or 2 cents like that were in the office that came up a bit, but not really. No, not the main cats at all. And that was part of it. They were already being replaced before I was even done. So by the time that new school comes in, it's like, they're like, yeah, this guy's got to go. He doesn't sell enough records on page. Like we don't give this guy another chance. That's no big surprise there, but I don't have anything, bad to say about the people I worked with there. I do wish, I know they invested a lot of money in, and I do wish that they would give me back my masters so that I could finally put them on vinyl, or a couple of them anyways. Mm-hmm. And near the end there, the great A&R man that worked with the Replacements, talk about a band who just shot themselves repeatedly in the foot. Peter Jesperson worked at New West, and he tried to tried to put together a best of for me, but like he was on his way out. I was definitely on my way out, and like he put it together and then was like, got the vinyl test prints done. It was everything. And then they're like, we're not investing money in that guy anymore. And like, he had to be like, oh, we're not. And meanwhile, I was promised this and that. And it's like, it was really horrible what happened. This thing called Before the Revolution. It was like best of Tim Easton from the early albums, of my first 5 albums. And they put it out online, but they didn't tell anybody. So that when I came to Nashville, like Paul Roper of Dual Tone was like, yeah, I don't think we can help you. He wanted to make an album with me, and he did put one digital album out with me, but he saw the numbers from New West and he was just like, this is an embarrassingly low sales,
Yeah.
And he was a really sweet guy, Paul Roper, I love that guy. Really cool, cat.
Genuine music lover.
Yeah.
Artist lover.
That's the thing. The music business, we like to talk about the sharks and the snakes, but let's not forget all the beautiful friends that honestly love music and art and want to do something cool. It's getting harder and harder for them to make a living too, but they can find their artists, like that agent you said found that band and believed in them. And that's all you can do, is find something you love that you don't have to lie when you call someone on the phone and tell them about it. You're like, I really love this. That's really how it works. Because how else would it work with, like, how many graduates from Belmont, the University of Georgia, whatever music business colleges out there, how many graduates have come out since in the last 10 years, would you say?
Yeah, like 5,000 that are like music people. Yeah.
In thousands. And they all went to intern, for Tracy Thomas as long as they could, or whatever, wherever they could, right? They go to intern. It's like every time I would be in these heavy hitters' offices, like they'd have 3 interns. I'm like, wow, okay, because there's nowhere for them to get a job unless they find an artist. And then how many songwriters would you say have moved to Nashville in the last 10 years?
Yeah, countless.
But as many as graduates from business schools, from music business schools?
Yeah, probably it's like 1-to-1.
Is it 1-to-1? I wonder if it's. I would say
a fun exercise I recommend to anybody is to go to the Listening Room's web page, and that's a room that's like kind of off the row.
Right.
I actually really like those people, and they do a great job. And we should be playing there more often, and I should be playing there more often. Just by like, it's
Aaron Tashian and either played there, or knows about it, or I think he was talking about it.
Yeah, exactly. You've never even been there,
yeah,
but it's like it's kind of a club that's got a built-in crowd because the tourists come. But every show sold out. But they do it's really well organized. It's kind of like a Bluebird, except a larger room and more modern. My point is that if you just go to the website and you just see the faces of these kids, it's just, and most of them are kind of like young country hopefuls. Right. But it's just, I forget, I feel like, oh yeah, there's about 50 of us. You know what I mean? Like it's just kind of people that we see in East Nash and like that play the clubs that we go to and we recognize. Constant but there's stream. Just like this hordes of hopefuls.
And more.
Yeah, every day. So it is interesting to like, I find it helpful as like a perspective getter to just realize how dense the field is. And if you've managed to carve out any kind of existence in this game, you've had a huge win that most don't achieve. So my question to you is that after you...
I'm patting myself on the back just
well,
for that.
Good, you should. Also you kind of had to make an enormous pivot after your come to Jesus moment where you're like, oh wow, people aren't doing it for me anymore. Yeah. And I have to either do it for myself or go the way of Matthew Sweet or something. That's not a dig. You might have to take that out, Jared. I don't want to dig Matthew Sweet.
I think we know what you meant. Yeah, of course.
You're just going to have to like get some hustle going. And you found that moxie yourself. And so what do you think changed where you were like able to kind of like, lend your own helping hand?
Oh, I think that's the driven artist that you can't stop no matter what. That's just all that is. You could take away somebody's distribution deal. You could take away somebody's van, whatever, and just and leave them with a guitar and a piano and some legal pads, and I'm just going to work. So you can't ever take that away, and that's really what it's all about. Like this town would just wither away if people didn't write songs. You know what I mean? Like the business itself is useless without that. And it's not like I'm trying to write commercial songs, but like the creativity aspect, you can't really squash. I suppose it does get squashed. And that is a sad, sad story. The person that decides like to not work again. I love I love the new Paul McCartney doc where he's just bummed and he goes up to Scotland and is just drinking a lot and but he had his wife, he had Linda, and then he just starts writing songs and he made a little 4-track album. And it's beautiful. He began indie rock kind of with that little plug it in the back.
This before Wings or?
Yeah, this is right before. This is McCartney 1. It's there's a door squeaking in the beginning. It's just kind of a noisy homemade record, but he just kept on going. And you couldn't squash that creative force, Okay. And also I have to say this. When you bring in the Beatles into any situation, you have to remember they're the Beatles, and you're not. I'm not comparing what I did to Paul McCartney or anything. But when it comes to being creative,
I think you can find you're well within your means to find a kindred spirit in him, in his need to make art.
Right. That's exactly what it is. It's express yourself. I think we're lucky because songs are they're 3 to 5 minutes short. It's not like some. You're a writer, what it's like to sit down and really labor over some long prose and whatnot. A song is like cake compared to that. You got a couple verses and a chorus. You're pretty much
you can get it done in one go.
Yeah, you're pretty much already there. If you're waking up and you're singing this thing to yourself, you're like, okay, this is a song. Okay, boom, and you just put it down. The world's wants you to rush on and get on with your life, but it's pretty easy to write a song in 15 minutes or 15 years if it's one of those kind. But I just love it. I love that we get that opportunity and that opportunity could not be squashed in me. And I guess I'm a cautionary tale in that aspect for sure. I was given a huge gift and I did all right with it. I'm still doing all right with it. And a lot of people though I think that I'm a lot bigger and more successful than, I hustle. I'm out there hustling, painting records. And by the way, this whole painted LP thing that I do, that was another thing that really bummed New West out. They promised me vinyl for this album called Porcupine. And then they said, yeah, we're not doing vinyl. And this is going to be my first vinyl record. And I was livid, but I didn't say it. I didn't run it by a manager because I didn't have a manager. I didn't say, well, I'm going to go make vinyl anyways, but I did. I went and printed vinyl, my own recordings, and hand painted all the covers. And I brought them down there to New West and they pretty much sacked me on the spot, more or less. They were like, wow, you have no idea what it's like, what you're doing. You have no idea that we've given you a recording contract and you're not honoring it whatsoever.
You thought they'd be like, wow, what a plucky kid,
I'm sorry.
Get in line.
I would take this opportunity to make amends to Cameron Strang and Peter Jesperson, and who are basically like, oh my God, does he even know what a record deal is? This how much we've given him.
In your defense, it is really difficult to navigate the uncertainties of relying on other people as an artist. And I'm not saying you did a great job. Obviously you didn't, but,
yeah.
Well, what I want to say is maybe I just want to say that I have accidentally burned more than one bridge because of my own overzealousness or my own determination,
right?
Which is that in itself isn't a bad characteristic. In fact, it's like an absolutely necessary characteristic to survive in this industry. You can't really just trust that somebody cares about your career more than you do, because they don't.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's hard to let your baby, let somebody else hold your baby and trust that they're going to feed it and nurture it like that you would. So
yeah, I let some things slide.
Yeah.
I let some things on those recordings slide, and they're like, it's fine. It's going to be fine. And you're like, no, I don't like, so there's the memories of that. That's a hard memory, now when you're like, it'll be all right. And that's a classic example of someone like Lucinda Williams did not do that with Cartwheels on a Gravel Road. She took 5 years and just got a job as a wait, whatever she had to do to make that album as great as it was. And she had all the same gifts that a cat like me would have been given by New West, except they really weren't helping me with my rent or anything. I had to hustle. I had to go play gigs, and I was really lucky to be playing at Largo. I got accepted into that. That was another really nice gift that the Largo people took me in, you know. So I was able to open up for John Bryan, and I was able to see Elliott Smith and Fiona Apple and Jack Black, you know, when they were just and Zach Galifianakis, guys like that. They were like people that were playing small clubs, and they were still quite famous, or they were about to be very famous. But I got to see them work up close, and that was another gift of being in Los Angeles at the time. But I never felt at home there, and I think that I address home in my lyrics a lot because I was traveling right off the bat as a little kid, like over to New Jersey, then over to Japan as a little kid. I lived there for 3 years, and then I was always moving around, and I wasn't an army brat. My dad just had different jobs. And so I identify with Ohio as a home, but like I never quite felt at home in California, as beautiful as it could be. It was kind of monstrous in its own way. Yeah, the weather's great, the light's good for filming stuff, but I never was able to like build a scene there. And I've never really been able to build one in Nashville either. Like I don't pack them in here either.
Yeah.
You know? I have to hit the road.
Can I speculate as to why?
Yeah.
And this is based on my own experience, but like something you said a few minutes ago, you were like, they weren't helping me out with rent. So I was just like hustling. I was taking every gig. I could or whatever.
Yeah.
But what you weren't doing was like getting a straight job and just like rooting down and staying in town and like working for years like Lucinda did. Not to say that's right or wrong. Like I'm saying this because I chose that rootless, restless, take a gig path myself. And because I was just determined to have a career in music. And also I've like found that I enjoyed lots of things that other people didn't. I remember one time, this isn't even a diss to her, but I was roommates with Courtney J, another artist, who's a little bit of another cloth. You know, she maybe stays in Nashville and LA and occasional journey to New York, and that is America for her, as it is for a lot of artists. And I remember telling her once, like, yeah, there's this like great line of clubs. If you ever need like between Denver and St. Louis, like through Nebraska, there's like 4 rooms you can play that are like really great paydays. And she just looked at me like, where's Nebraska? You know, like things like she was not interested, as many people aren't, because it's like, what is the point of that? And
I like that.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm just like, but the point of that is you can play 2 whole sets of the songs that you wrote for people that are going to listen, and they're going to pay $20 each to be there. And there's going to be 70 of them. You do the math, and then you can sell the merch, and it's an amazing experience for you and them. And it's just like a gig in heaven to me. You know what I mean?
Build lifelong fans
And lifelong fans. Exactly. Who should like, that's how my TV show got made, you know, like this is how you do it. But what you're not doing is building up a community in a base in your like hometown.
Yeah, no, that speculation is real. That's all there. Yeah, I was like, oh, I can sleep in the back of my car to play this coffee shop in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
I played that club. Yeah. I slept in a different car.
You just like, oh, I'll just rent a car and sleep in the car. I was just road mad.
Yeah, I get it.
I was into the improper side of the Jack Kerouac fantasy. Improper is not the right. I was into the not that important, you know, not that
just the romance of the troubadour lifestyle. Yeah, right. I mean, that's simple,
I think so. And I bought into the Townes Van Zandt thing and everything. You know, that's what that was. I'm really fortunate in today that I have the one thing I have in this business is really good friends, some good super fans out there all over the world. I did play some good. I wasn't always drunk at South by Southwest, you know, when I played those record company things, but I was doing other things that they would not want me to do. I'd play a set of covers or weird old blues songs, and they were like, we just spent a lot of money putting an album out by you. Why aren't you playing the songs from the album? I'm like, I played a couple, and they would get mad at me, and they had a right to be mad at me. But I did gain like some great promoters from that. Like I got a Japanese promoter that saw me play South by Southwest, and I'm going to play Japan this year. And these are the kind of things that, you know, I I do a pretty good job at managing envy in my life. When I look online and I see that, like, why can't I play that festival that Corby's playing? I could play that festival, whatever that feeling we get when we look online and we see someone playing something that we're like, I should play at the Red Wing Festival, whatever. I wear Red Wings, whatever it is, that feeling. I've been pretty good at managing that. I don't feel the envy as much, and I try not to shit talk. I try to just stay real and work hard, right? But every now and then, road talk gets the best of you, and you're like, why can't I need to get the hat that guy's wearing, whatever, some ridiculous thought comes in mind. And what I was saying is that I was really lucky. I did get some good promoters on my side, so I'm able to still go work, and I could, if I wanted, go busk somewhere and get a sandwich. That mentality of mine, the busker mentality, never left me. So that's another thing that kind of didn't really help me with thinking big.
Yeah.
And I think thinking medium is maybe not safe for everybody, but I still get songwriter workshop gigs, and I did get fired from the Todd Snyder one. That happened to be my fault. I accept responsibility for that. But I still get work, and I'm really lucky. I still make albums. I think it's easier and easier to make albums today. So
yeah, it's easier to make them. It's just harder to draw attention to them.
Right. Yeah. There's a million of them coming out every day.
But what you have that the kids don't is an actual fan base and people who care about what you do. And
yeah, lucked out there.
That's really fantastic. I had a conversation with Lara Lynn a couple of months ago. She just put out a new record, and she said something I thought was really interesting, because she was describing her day today, and she's a mom and an indie.
Yeah.
And so she's chief cook and bottle washer of her own enterprise.
Right.
And
we
so
have the same agent. Yeah.
So most of the time she's at her computer, and it's just the music is a luxury. But what she said, I thought, was that she's I'm not even trying to get new fans. She's just I'm just trying to reach the fans that I have. I have this great career, and I'm just trying to serve the people that already love me. I was like, that's a cool way of sort of framing the enterprise, rather than just throwing yourself at this this amorphous, ever increasing maybe, that we kind of, how you think when you're building, anything. You're
we've been told we have to invest in trying to get the new fans. I think each night you play, you have the opportunity, at least in my case, of converting someone somehow, some way, if you're lucky.
I mean, my whole email list is a one at a time. Is a show by show by show by show.
There's the thing. See it? Email list. Tim Easton, not good at that. Not good. Not good. Thanks everybody out there for joining on my email list. It's you can go to timeaston.com and
dude, but what's cool is that there's just everybody's got things they're good at. I'm not good at that stuff, really. I just know what they're called, and I guess I did furnish them from time to time. But Liz Longley's another East Nashville great. She's got a fantastic career of her own making. Does. And I mean, that girl she hustles, she deserves, she's super talented, but she also unlike us, I mean, I think she'll have a sip now and then, but just never drink. I remember one time I opened for her at the Evening Muse in Charlotte, which I know you've played many times. And
about to play it again.
What's that?
About to play it again next week. Yeah.
Y'all come out. But we were talking after the show. She's hustling all her gear up. She's she played her last song. I learned this from her, and I started doing it too. It's a genius move. She just plays. She says, thank you so much to everybody for coming out. All my merch is right there at the back. I'd love to meet you. I'm just going to go back there. I'll see you back there. And she just played her song and just immediately walked to the merch table, and people just followed her over there. We were talking after the show. She was just when I come home, I usually like to just balance the spreadsheet and just make sure the inventory is all right before tomorrow. And I looked at her and was like, when I get off my gig, I like to have 2 whiskeys. That is a clear.
Wow.
And I just, and
balance the spreadsheet. I don't even really know what that means, but I get nervous just thinking about it.
Yeah. I married somebody who does. And so I'm I've gotten a little bit better at it.
See, yin and yang of the different things we have.
Yeah. Yin and yang, and enough of overlap there where there's a lot of simpatico.
I mean, back to the whole traveling thing. I would the idea of there's some gigs in Nebraska. that's the part of my geographical, like my love of geography and people and places. That's why I feel like I understand this country, because I've been around a lot and I've seen a lot, and that's a bigger thrill to me than almost anything, really. Just the idea of like, oh, I'm going to play a new folk spot in Nebraska that has like real music fans. I love it.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's kind of like the lifestyle of adventure. This is what I signed up for when I went down the music path so many years ago. I think that we had a really similar mindset. You know, I wanted to be successful. I wanted to be on Saturday Night Live or whatever thing, you know, I told myself was like the metric to aim at something. But really, I just loved meeting new people. I loved sharing the songs that I wrote. I loved traveling and seeing weird places and getting to know the cool coffee shop in Columbia, Missouri. Like all these weird things that you get to see the tapestry of the country.
Flirting with baristas.
Yeah, or better. You know, who knows?
Yeah, just kidding. I'm basically just meeting people and being sweet to them is part of and being like people that are in the service world that are helping us get by. I like a big thing for me is like, yeah, thank you for your help today. Like I just did it at the post office on my way here. And that now is like seeing Americans in America. And then I really lucky I get to go to Spain and I get to go to Holland. I get to go to France.
We get it. Yeah.
I mean, I just like, I'm kissing the ass of humanity on a regular basis because I think I just took so much before. That's really, it's in me, it's like a living amends thing. It's like, wow, you're just like a little monster, like a little Tasmanian devil, just like, you know, going around where you would go. And eventually I got to go to Tasmania this year. It was amazing.
Full circle. Really, I know that you don't, I think you have a ton of time here, my man.
We got loads of time.
Okay, great. Well,
wait a minute. It's 3:00.
Yeah.
I've got to go right now.
Okay, cool.
My daughter is waiting for me at school, and I've got to get in the car.
This is like the first scene of Morse Code, the pilot, which you've never seen, which is like, you are the guy in the fucking show.
I got to go.
Yeah, no, totally. Thank you so much, man.
Love you. Thanks so much.
Peace. Hey, thanks for watching. Go ahead and click here to like and subscribe. You can click right there to watch another video or click here to watch a playlist featuring songs of the Morse Code podcast. Okay, thank you very much.